ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Welcome back, sports fans. We're back with the Extra Point. It's Mazzi and it's Live Zone in your ear, on your screen, ready to go. What's up, Live Zone? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm having a great time watching the NFL games that are happening. We got the Pro Bowl coming up and then the Super Bowl. We got a lot to talk about in the NFL right now, not even just with the games, but also the shakeups that are happening. Let's get started. What we got as always.
First things first, I like your cut, G. We're hopping in to Brady and Pete Carroll teaming up in Las Vegas. Damn. I wonder what that first conversation is going to be like. Why didn't you run it on the one? Why'd you throw it, dude? I don't know. There's going to be a little of that talk going down over there. But 8 Super Bowls combined, 7 for Brady, 1 for Pete Carroll. It's going to be a great leadership on the head coaching side as well as ownership. They both know exactly what's going on down there. Las Vegas as a team, though, needs a lot of help besides the head coach, okay? The players are probably not all in the positions that they need going down. So what do you see coming down the pipeline for this team with the new head coach? Do you see this Raiders team becoming a possible playoff team in the year? And then on top of it, what kind of moves do you see them making in the draft with the number 6 pick? Or are they going to finesse that, trade that out? Or is there even a possibility they might be the ones landing Sam Darnold? What's going on? What are your thoughts?
There's a lot of things that could happen with the Raiders right now. I'm very intrigued to see what route Brady and Pete Carroll go, though. I'm looking at this as yes, like you said, 8 Super Bowl wins, but you got to remember that there's also 3 and then another 1. So there's 11 Super Bowl appearances with this team. They have a hell of a tight end in Brock Bowers. Could be one of the next great tight ends in the league. They got a wide receiver with Jacoby Myers that I personally see being a lot like what's the Seattle wide receiver? Tyler Lockett. Yeah, I see him being a lot like a Tyler Lockett for this team. I think that they go after a quarterback, and I think that they'll be fine. I don't see them making the playoffs this year. I think it's going to take some time, but they're definitely on the right path to start winning games. And it's going to be interesting because, like we said, we saw teams that were in the playoff race this year that we were like, do they really deserve to be in the playoffs right now? Hence, like the Indianapolis Colts and the Miami Dolphins. That could be what we see in the Raiders this year, a team that we're questioning should be there. But then in the next few years, as they get better, they're going to be a team to watch, especially if they end up with a quarterback that's one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the draft.
Yeah, I don't know how much noise these Raiders are going to be putting out next year. Just in year 1, it's definitely going to be a process, as it always is. But with the leadership that's coming in, I think it's going to be great. I would look at it like this way. Pete Carroll's head coach, you run the whole thing. But Pete Carroll, when it comes to the defensive decisions, I need you to be making those decisions. And then when it comes to the offensive decisions, as in what players are going to be playing on the team, I need Tom Brady to put his 2 cents in on that information. So I think it's going to be a great dynamic. I hope they defer to Pete Carroll for the defensive and Tom Brady for the offensive. Like I said, they definitely need a quarterback. You touched on Brock Bowers, solid at tight end. What did Brady always have through his years in New England? A solid tight end. Someone, whether it was Benjamin Watson, whether it was Rob Gronkowski, Hernandez, whoever it was, he had a solid tight end to catch the out route on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6, and get the first down and keep the drives going. That's what they have in Brock Bowers. Now, Aiden O'Connell, you're not the franchise quarterback, okay? We need to move on from that. Now, whether it's a plug and play situation like Sam Darnold, I don't think that's smart for them. I think you got everything. I think Minnesota took everything Sam Darnold had to offer left on the table. So I don't know if that's the move, but looking at it from the draft coming up with the number 6 draft slot, I'm looking at Jalen Milroe from Alabama or Quinn Ewers from Texas to fall in that position for the Raiders. I don't think they're going to be able to get a Shador. I think he's going to go too soon. I think a Cam Ward's going to go too soon. I absolutely love Jalen Milroe to this team. I think he's one of the most NFL pro-ready quarterbacks from college that we've seen in a while. He can turn the speed on and off. He knows when to not take a hit. He knows when to throw the ball away. He knows how to make the throw downfield. He can make the accurate throws. It's a Jalen Hurts type player, again, out of Alabama. That's what they produce over the past couple of years. So I would love to see him go there, have a tight end on the side and a wide receiver to work with. And then on the other side, let Pete Carroll start building a new Legion of Boom in Las Vegas. The stadium's going to be rocking. Here's the similarities. Seattle had the stadium rocking in the 12th man. Okay. Las Vegas could have that as well. Between their stadium, what goes down in Vegas, their fans and everything, they could put together another 12th man scenario out there if he can put a defense together that shuts it down. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very eager to see what Pete Carroll does with defense. I think it's going to be very prosperous for these Raiders moving forward, but it's going to take time. Do I think they're going to be a playoff team right off the jump? First year? No. I could see them finishing with a winning record, actually, though, after this first year. Maybe a 9-8 season or an 8-9 season, depending on how the schedule pans out. But I'm very, very excited to see the Raiders. They lost a bunch of close games this year where if their defense could have made one critical stop, they may have 3-4 more wins on their record for this year. That alone right there shows me they're one coaching decision, one player, one upper management decision away from turning those L's into victories and being there for the playoffs.
Yeah, 110%. And, it's funny that you mentioned Quinn Ewers, because Quinn Ewers, he has that left arm, which not a lot of quarterbacks have right now. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Steve Young action there. I like the pick for Quinn Ewers for this team, especially with Brock Bowers there and Jacoby Myers. He has options. But the thing is when you're in this draft, you're not looking at just the first round pick for your quarterback. You're also looking at the later round picks for one of the running backs, because you desperately need a guy that can run more than 2 yards a carry. And that's why we didn't see those Raiders win those games. Aiden O'Connell, I know that he's not a starting quarterback, but he was a serviceable quarterback. The problem with the Las Vegas Raiders was their run game, because they had 2 running backs that were heavily overrated, that should have been a lot better coming into the season than what they were. So for that reason, 110%, I'm looking at Milroe, I'm looking at Ewers for that, but I'm also seeing, all right, well, in the later rounds, what are we going to do about this running back situation? Because that's where they need to get their skilled players, the same way that a team like the New England Patriots and the New York Giants need to get their skilled players and get their guys ready. They can't even worry about their offensive and defensive lines yet, because they need to worry about the important positions first. So, well, important if you ask of a casual fan. But yeah, so I 110% agree with you. I think the Raiders are in one hell of a position for the future, especially with Tom Brady and Pete Carroll there. I do want to mention that Pete Carroll was also the head coach of the New England Patriots at one point, way back when, before Bill Belichick as well. So that's something to also look out for too. They both got that New England mindset. So we shall see what happens in Las Vegas, but I think it's very promising.
A lot of intertwining roles, storylines, everything going down. Ironic, we're talking about Pete Carroll and how he has to get his running back situation figured out. Seems like it never leaves him.
Yep.
Another team that seems like they just can't get out of their own way is the Dallas Cowgirls. Yes, the Dallas Cowgirls, Cowboys, whatever you want to call it. We're over here just calling it like we see it. I don't think Dallas wants to win anytime soon. I don't know what Jerry Jones is thinking at this point. He just wants to be the face of it. We're looking at the Cowboys hiring their offensive coordinator as their head coach, and then adding the Bears head coach that was fired halfway through the season as their new defensive coordinator. It's just blasphemy and awful and just terrible in every sense of the way, Live Zone. It's actually comical. You had the likes of Mike Vrabel, Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll as potential options for head coaches. They didn't have jobs, and the Dallas Cowboy job was open. And yet, we don't know at this point if it was Dallas reaching out to them and them saying no, or if they just didn't pursue them. At this point, to me, it looks like Dallas didn't even try to pursue anybody. And this is shocking. So, what do we make of this? Are the Cowboys going to be relevant next year? Is Jerry Jones actually senile at this point and need to sell the team? And why Eberflus? Why Eberflus? Why Schottenheimer? Why? Never been a head coach before, and then Eberflus being a mediocre head coach at best, and then being an offensive coordinator before that. But let's throw him in at defense. What is going on?
All right, so with Schottenheimer, I can understand. I don't know why they did it though, but I can understand. They last time they went after a head coach was Mike McCarthy. He was one of the best head coaches in the league at the time, and it didn't plan out the way that Jerry Jones wanted it to. So I understand why they went within their system to hire somebody as their head coach, especially their offensive coordinator, knowing that's what they need the most help with right now is the offensive side. The defensive side is fine, but the offensive side is the one that needs help. So I understand why he did that, but it makes no sense to me at the same time because you had Deion Sanders right there. Deion Sanders it was in the bag. And like you said, it really looks like that they just didn't contact people and be like, "Oh, hey, do you want to have an interview for this coaching job, whatever?" It really does look like that. Mike Vrabel we knew was going to the New England Patriots as soon as the season ended. It is what as soon as playoffs started, you knew where Mike Vrabel was going to be. Pete Carroll, there was a few places that he could have been, Dallas being one of those places. So why didn't you reach out to Pete Carroll? Then after that, you had Mike McCarthy still there, which I still think that Mike McCarthy is a better option than both of the coaches that you hired in the first place. And then after that, you have Deion Sanders that was looking like the main option for the Dallas Cowboys. He loves Jerry Jones. He loves the Dallas Cowboys. And we saw what he could do in college with his two sons on his team. So why did Jerry Jones not go and hire Deion Sanders if it was already in the bag? From what it seemed like on every corner, it looked like it was a set deal that Deion was going to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. But now we're looking at it as what's really going on in Dallas. That's number one. Number two, Eberflus. Listen, we've been hating on this guy for years now, years with reason. This guy is not a good coach, and he should. There are a lot of people that should be having that defensive coordinator job over him. But once again, it comes down to what Dallas is reaching out to and who they are reaching out to. And Eberflus, they were like, "Oh, well, maybe we can get a head coach as a defensive coordinator to help out our head coach that we just hired from our offensive coordinator." It doesn't make sense. So there's a lot of problems with the Dallas Cowboys. The way that I'm going to put it to you is the Dallas Cowboys simply just don't want to win. And that's what it is. They are the NFC version of the Cincinnati Bengals. That's what it looks like. But it's the exact opposite. At the beginning of the season, they're great. At the beginning of the season, they're a team that you have to watch out for. At the end of the season, they're dog water. And it's the exact opposite with the Cincinnati Bengals. At the beginning of the season, they're complete dog water, and then they turn it up at the second half of the season. They are the Cincinnati Bengals of the NFC, and without a shout and a doubt, they both teams have a top 15 quarterback and a top 5 wide receiver. So what's really the problem here? Is it the players or is it the staff and what they're bringing to the team? At this point and at this time, both teams, it looks like the problem is the staff.
Your third point hit it on the head. I love that comparison right there, and the complete opposite end of the spectrum that those two teams are on, Cowboys and the Bengals. Listen, I feel like Stephen A. Smith up here right now because I truly have no words for what the Cowboys are doing, but goddamn, I love seeing them screw themselves over for the future and long run. I mean,
Yep.
they haven't even sniffed a Super Bowl since I've been alive on this earth. Okay? Let's put that in perspective. That's 27 years. All right? So, one, we're going to start out with the Eberflus decision. You're taking a head coach who was an offensive coordinator before that and putting him into defensive coordinator. On paper, makes sense. Head coach should be able to handle both sides of the ball. He kind of knows what's going on. He's been on the offensive side. So maybe let's give him a crack on defense. Let's look at the Chicago Bears 2024 defense. 28th in the league in yards allowed, 28th in the league in rushing touchdowns, 27th in the league in total passing yards, and first in passing touchdowns allowed. So, bottom of the barrel in mostly everything except they're first in not allowing people to score a passing touchdown against them. Oh, let's also look at how many game-winning drives they gave up this year. I believe it was 3 to 4 this year that the Chicago Bears blew. We know about the Hail Mary to Washington where you have your cornerback taunting or screaming to the fans and then ending up tipping the ball in the air and causing the play. That's from leadership. That's okay for them to do on the field. That shows the leadership is not there. On top of it, you have the Green Bay game.
Yes.
Like, so many games.
Don't call
okay?
a timeout. They didn't call a
Like,
timeout. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you have that was the Detroit game on Thanksgiving. This is what I'm saying. There's so many to pick from. There's the Detroit game where they get the field goal blocked at the end, can't win. Then there's the Detroit game where they just don't even call a timeout. They got 45 seconds left. They got plenty of time to get another throw, and it's inexcusable. The dude, I forget the exact stat that we were at, but I believe it was 5-28 in one-score games with Chicago, if I remember that correctly. Why does this man have a job in the NFL? If you look at his interviews afterwards, too, there was nothing there to build off of. He looked deflated. He looked like he's seen a ghost. He looked like he didn't know what to do, and he looked like he knew he was on the way out. Jerry Jones giving him a chance. I really don't know what's up with that. Now I'm looking at the Schottenheimer. I'm more okay with the move. Your offensive coordinator for the past couple years. I mean, one of the years he had that offense going like that all year. They still couldn't get the wins done or win in the playoffs. Understandable. But he had that offense cranking with Dak for a year. This past year, not so much. You don't have Dak most of the year. It is what it is. But why? McCarthy had years on his contract left. If these were the options you were going to, just to the point that you made, why did you spend the money to get rid of Mike McCarthy to bring in an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator? Put your offensive coordinator as head coach and bring in a head coach to be a defensive coordinator when you have Dion, like you said, forgot to even mention him, Pete Carroll on the table. You know, it's crazy, okay? I would have stuck with Mike McCarthy and just let the ship keep sinking and see what was going to be open for the next year. But Cowboys are not trying to win. It's Jerry Jones just trying to stay relevant. It might be a media ploy at this point. I don't know what to do with the Cowboys. I don't know what to say. They're not making the playoffs with this roster and management and coaches team next year. They're not even going to be close in their division. Washington and Philly are going to be on top of them. No problem.
All over.
No problem. After what Jaden Daniels done and Jalen Hurts stuff, the two teams in their conference are playing just playing in the NFC Championship game. Dallas Cowboys haven't made an NFC Championship in God knows how long. Okay? It's not going to happen. This is not the right move. Dak coming back's going to I can't imagine what Dak's thinking. If I'm Dak, I might even request a trade out of Dallas at this point. I know I bought the house and I know I have the contract under locks, but if I want to win a Super Bowl in my career, Dallas is not the place to get it done.
Well, talking about Dak, what about CD? CD is probably the best receiver in the league right now. If not, he's
Three.
he's two or three. But
Yeah.
I think the only reason why he's not one is because of the team that he's on right now. I think he has potential to be the best wide receiver in the league. And even last season, he was talking to Dak like he was like looking down at Dak Prescott because Dak didn't want to throw him the ball when he was wide open. And Dak didn't want to do this and Dak didn't want to do that. There were times where Dak threw a really bad pass to him and it was an interception and he was like, oh, great pass. Like CD is very frustrated to be on this Dallas Cowboys team right now. And I think if you're looking at a player, the two players that you look at that should be most frustrated are CD Lamb and Micah Parsons, because Micah Parsons has the potential to be one of the best defensive players of all time, not just the best defensive player right now. And he's wasting his career and his prime on a Dallas Cowboys team that can't make it even into the playoffs. So, I look at this listen, it should have been Dion. That's fine. The head coach thing, it is what it is. Defensive coordinator, I'm going to tell you a person that would have been perfect for that job, but you're not going to like it because you're a New England Patriots fan. It was Gerard Mayo. When Gerard Mayo was a defensive coordinator, he was at his best in coaching with the New England Patriots. So you could have even looked his way, but instead you looked Eberflus's way. The only reason I could see them looking this way is to say, all right, well, Schottenheimer, we're going to give him a chance, but if he doesn't work out, well, now we have a head coach as our defensive coordinator that we can bring up. That's
on that wave, or a sense of support where it's like he's been a head coach when the first time head coach is running into struggles, he has at least a person who's been in that position before to lean on and talk to and work through. And also, to your point, a possible replacement on the back end. But why do you want Eberflus as the replacement? That's my question.
Well, that's the thing. Maybe they're looking at the team and they're looking at, hey, we're going to blow this team up. We're going to rebuild, and we're going to need a head coach there when we rebuild. And when they bring in Eberflus, then they can kick him to the curb and go get another head coach when they're good again. That's the only thing that I can really say, all right, well, that makes a little bit of sense. But still, you had Gerard Mayo, you had Pete Carroll, you had Deion Sanders. Why are you not giving them the chance instead of giving a guy that really shut down his whole team, and not even just that, shut down one of the biggest college quarterback prospects that we've ever seen down the drain? So I don't know. I'm not a fan of the Cowboys. I'm glad that I'm not. Dallas fans, I'm so sorry, because you're going to have a few rough years here, because we're gonna predict later on, we're gonna predict who we're gonna have in each division and the standings and everything in each division and each conference. But man, I'm gonna let you know right now, based off of what I see, I could see the New York Giants being ahead of the Dallas Cowboys this year.
That's a hot take, but here's another hot take. Dallas may not make the playoffs for another 5 years.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think that's a hot take at this point.
It's just bad. They're down bad in Dallas, all right? Mm-hmm. We had football this past weekend. We're late to the game. We're the midweek reporters on this. We let you get through all the BS first on all the people and all the ref talk and all that, and then you come here and you get the straight answer. We're going to hop into the AFC Championship game coming up, but first, we're going to listen and have a word from our friends at Atlanta Steaks and Seafood. Any minute now, they're going to come through, pop on your screen. Atlanta Steaks and Seafood, they do have some great products. They got some good package deals going down right now too. We're gonna list those later on, but I gotta get some for the Super Bowl coming up.
Yeah.
We have the matchup set for the Super Bowl, and it's the three-peat Chiefs against the Philadelphia Eagles. And how did we get here? Well, we had an AFC championship game that I was about excited as Tom Brady in the AFC championship on a snowy Sunday in Massachusetts. It was ready. It was ripe. It was there. And they really didn't disappoint. We got the back and forth scoring. We got the referees determining the game to some people. We got the Josh Allen falling short again to Patrick Mahomes. We had a little bit of everything in this game, okay? We had Xavier Worthy showing the Bills why they shouldn't have passed up on him in the draft. Also, the biggest sin, the Bills passed up on Patrick Mahomes as well in the draft. They had the number 10 pick. They could have taken him. They were on the clock. They traded it to Kansas City. Lots of storylines. It ends up with a 32-29 final score, and the Chiefs moving on to their third consecutive Super Bowl, trying to make it 3 wins in a row. Live Zone. What did you think of this game? What's your reaction? What did we learn that we didn't already know?
Well, we learned that something that we didn't already know is that, well, this was Josh Allen's best chance to beat the Kansas City Chiefs was this year. This was the year that it should have been done, and he fell short. At the end of the day, I don't think it just comes on to him. I think it comes on to the whole team, because there were a few very catchable passes that weren't caught, such
Kincaid dropped that pass.
Yep, it's such as that last pass that for the last offensive play for the Buffalo Bills, that was in his hands. You got to catch that regardless. So yeah, I think that this Buffalo Bills team will be back next year. I think that they will be in the AFC Championship, but if they see the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't think that they will win. Just based off of, like you said, I think that the highlight of this game was Mr. Xavier Worthy. I think not having him on this Buffalo Bills team really hurt them in this AFC Championship. I think if they had him, it would have been a lot different. I think that if you had Xavier Worthy next to Josh Allen, I think that Xavier Worthy would have caught some of those catches, unlike Keon Coleman. So I mean, there's a lot that you could take away from it. The big things is that Buffalo's receivers were not ready to play this game. That's what it comes down to. And honestly, that's what we've been talking about for the Buffalo Bills all season. For their only downfall is their receiving core. So that's number one. Number two, Chiefs are going to win their third Super Bowl. I very highly believe that, going after beating this Buffalo Bills team. I think the Buffalo Bills were the best chance for the Kansas City Chiefs to lose in this year's playoffs, and they just didn't get it done. I will say, for all the people that do think that the refs determine the game, I 110% agree on a few of the calls. There were a few calls in the first quarter that were holding calls that should not have been holding calls. There was a flag on the last offensive play that got taken away from the Buffalo Bills. And there was a first down that was clearly a first down that they did not get the first down call on. So things that could have changed the game, yes. But at the end of the day, Kansas City won. They're going to the Super Bowl. Call it rigged if you want to. Call it a script if you want to. Whatever it is. But it really does look like Kansas City is going to get that three-peat.
Oh boy, here we are again. It seems like myself and Nick Wright from FS1 Sports are the only people that give the Chiefs the credit where it's due and don't get tired of talking about it. First things first, I want to address the referee situation. If we took a look at every single play with instant replay and looked at every spot and every call and everything, and had the game 6 hours long because, oh, this was wrong, that was wrong. We're not playing a sport anymore. You know as well as I know, as we played sports growing up all the way to our college years, that you have to play through the refs, regardless of if they're on your side or not. You're going into this knowing that they're against your side from what you've seen. You need to, without a shadow of a doubt, be ready to beat this team and beat them without question. You realize if it's a nail biter, it's going their way. The call is going to go their way. Okay? So how do you defend that? You don't put yourself in that position. There's plenty of plays in this game. First drive for Buffalo, 3 and out to start the game where Kansas City's getting first downs on their drives. Okay, that's not how you start the game and set the tone. You're playing behind right off the jump, trying to catch up on a Pat Mahomes team. Very difficult to do. On an Andy Reid team, nearly impossible to do. A 2-time back-to-back Super Bowl championship team that hasn't even gotten worse. They've gotten better. Okay, that's my first gripe. You can't blame it on the refs at this point. You just have to look at it and say, the Chiefs are good in all aspects, special teams, defense, offense. And then they have a wild card at quarterback that can win them a game. And then they have a defense that can win them a game. And then they have a head coach who's coaching can win them a game. There's so many ways for this team to win. It's truly unreal. Now, with that being said, let's actually look at the play. There's nothing that jumps off the paper of this Chiefs team. There's not one player that jumps off the page. That's what makes them so dangerous, okay? They're winning all together. Patrick Mahomes is doing his thing. Xavier Worthy's doing his thing. Travis Kelce is playing. He might not be getting the receptions or the yardage, but he's a factor in the game just because he's out there. You got to throw a man on him, and if not, he's going to find the open space, so you got to throw 2 on him. Now you can't cover the wheel route that Xavier Worthy's going to run. And oh, wait, they got the pass option where Mahomes shovels it back the other way to Kareem Hunt, and he walks in for a touchdown. There's so many ways for this team to beat you. You got to control the controllables. Did Josh Allen play nearly his best game of the season in this game at all? No. No, he did not. I believe he even threw an interception. When does Josh Allen throw an interception this whole regular season? 4 times. Four times.
You're right.
What about the fumble balls when he's getting snapped and he drops it right on the ground? You lose a down. You can't make mistakes. You can't lose a down there. I get it. I'm not putting it all on Josh Allen because it's not his fault. He made some plays where they should have caught the ball, and I will tell you that 4th down run was a first down.
Yes.
I'll be the first one to tell you that. I am not arguing that, but again, that's something you need to play through. Why are you in the position of 4th and 1 after a 3rd and 3 where you clearly might have even got that spot and should have challenged that spot, so you could not even be in the position of a 4th and 1 with the game on the line? There's so many different things that could have gone differently in this game. And it doesn't fall on Josh Allen. It doesn't fall on James Cook. It doesn't fall on Kincaid, who dropped the ball. It doesn't fall on the coach. It falls on the whole team itself. They were not ready to. They should have, with the amount of frustration this team has had against Patrick Mahomes in these playoffs, they should have been ready to beat them by 30. I know it's easier said than done. But realistically, that first drive of the game should have been a touchdown. They should have scored. They should have come out the gate and been like, listen, if we score right off the jump, we're taking the energy out of the stadium. Mahomes has got to play from behind. Maybe we can make him make a mistake. And we got our feet under us and our confidence. Let's go run these people. But instead, quick passes, drop, not enough for a first down, punt it away. Chiefs go down and score. You're playing catch up for the rest of the game. And it's a wrap, dude. It's a wrap. I need to make a proclamation here. And unfortunately, it's one I hate. I don't think Josh Allen's ever going to even make it to a Super Bowl. I don't think
I
he's
don't know
ever
about
going to
that.
make it to a Super Bowl.
I don't know about that. I disagree with that, and the reason why is because when Kelsey is gone, Patrick Mahomes is going to have to rely on his wide receiver core a lot more than he has to right now. And we already know, we talk about it every year, how the receiver core, they're fast. They can catch the ball 50% of the time, but that other 50% of the time, it's like, all right, well, where is this team even at right now? And that's the thing. So if Kelsey retires and he doesn't have that security blanket, I really do think that he has a lot more trouble than what he has right now. And then that game, say if you don't have a Travis Kelsey like guy, and you only have to put two on Worthy instead of having to put two on Kelsey and two on Worthy and blitz four guys at Patrick Mahomes. I think that this is a different game. I really do. I really do think without Travis Kelsey, you don't win a lot of these games that the Kansas City Chiefs are winning.
I
Regardless if
disagree.
regardless if he's getting the receptions or not, regardless if he's blocking or not, no matter where Travis Kelsey is on the field, he is an important leader to this team and a lot more important than we think. So for I don't know, for that reason, I think in the future Kansas City will fall off when Travis Kelsey does retire. But until then, I can say that the Chiefs are the team to look at the AFC. Now, if one of them get hurt, like a Travis Kelsey or Patrick Mahomes gets hurt, that's another thing that then it comes down to Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. And the person that I have the confidence most out of those three quarterbacks is 110% Josh Allen. So that's another conversation. You know what I
I
mean?
have three reasons as to why the Kansas City Chiefs will not be affected by Travis Kelsey's retirement. Number one, DeAndre Hopkins. We didn't even mention his name at all. Didn't even mention
He's
his name at all.
he'll be
Didn't
out
even.
before he'll be out before Kelsey will be.
Didn't
He's
even
older.
mention it.
He's
Number
older.
two, that's fine. I expect Kelsey to win this next game in the Super Bowl and retire on the field. Um, Number two, Noah Gray, tight end coming in. He can do it. And then number three is the Tom Brady rule, which Patrick Mahomes has. He can make nobodies into somebodies.
We shall see what happens. We shall see what happens. Because
We had another
on
game though.
Buffalo, on Buffalo's side, they do have an Amari Cooper that could also match DeAndre Hopkins once they both get into the offenses. They're both just as effective as each other. So when Amari Cooper gets into this offense and learns this offense, which he should have been way more of a factor in this AFC Championship game, the same way that DeAndre Hopkins should have been more of a factor in this AFC Championship game. I think when they get into the offense and they learn the offense more, and it comes 2-3 years down the line when they're two of the best wide receivers again, I think that they will easily cancel out each other.
We're gonna have to see, but it's the Brady rule for me, dude. Because even a team when Brady was going up against them, they had all the star power and all the better players, and Tom Brady would find a way to win. That's how I feel about this Chiefs team at this point. You look at Buffalo and what they did this year, and on paper, like Josh Allen should have been the better quarterback statistically. James Cook should have been the better running back, which he was actually in that game.
He was.
And then furthering that, the defense for Buffalo probably should have been better as well.
I don't
But
know about that. I
you
don't know
look at
about that.
Kansas City, their head coach is clearly better than Buffalo's head coach. Their quarterback clearly shows up in the moments where he needs to. Their offense shows up and makes the catches. Let's not forget that we're only 1 or 2 years removed from Kansas City couldn't, their wide receiving core and everybody couldn't catch a damn pass and they still won a Super Bowl. Okay? So I don't want to hear that Josh Allen's team couldn't catch passes and that's why they lost. Kansas City could still win a Super Bowl even with the people not catching.
Yeah, 110%. But when it comes down to it, like you said, it's a whole team situation. So if if the defensive side is having a bad night against a Kansas City Chiefs offense, that hurts that offensive side. So I think Josh Allen will get to a Super Bowl eventually. It's just, are we going to see him in a Super Bowl in his prime, or are we going to see it after his prime? And
After.
unfortunately, it looks like we're going to see it after his prime, which is unfortunate because Josh Allen has the potential to be one of the best quarterbacks of all time. He is a prototype quarterback. When you look at Josh Allen, you instantly think quarterback because he can throw the lights out. He can run. He's big. He doesn't get hurt. I mean, the guy is what you want in every single quarterback. So for that, I think he'll get there eventually, but you got to wait till Keon Coleman gets to his prime. You have to wait till Dalton Kincaid gets to his prime. You have to wait till James Cook gets to his prime, which I think James Cook is nearing his prime, so that might be a little bit easier. You have to worry about this defense doing their job. There's a whole long list on why the Buffalo Bills did not win this game compared to what Kansas City's list was. Kansas City was worrying about their offensive side and their wide receiver core. The Buffalo Bills were worrying about their receiver core, were worrying about their defense, was worrying about every single little thing except for their run game and their quarterback game. And that's something that the Buffalo Bills need to build on this coming off season.
One thing's for sure, 0-4 haunts Buffalo to this day. 4 Super Bowls in a row, 0-4, nearly 4 AFC championships in a row against Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen is quickly 0-4 against Patrick Mahomes. 4-0 or 4-1 in the regular season, 0-4 in the postseason, 4-5 all time against Patrick Mahomes. When it matters, Mahomes wins. When it doesn't, Josh Allen wins. That seems like the story of everything. Same with Lamar and same with Josh. And that's why Patrick Mahomes is the guy to beat in the AFC. We have another side to talk about because we had the NFC and they had a game go down out there. A division rivalry, a division matchup. A rookie quarterback trying to be the first one to ever make it to a Super Bowl. Unfortunately, he fell short. It wasn't for effort. It just wasn't their day. The Philadelphia offense was too strong. Live Zone, I heard you say that Kansas City's taking the Super Bowl. No problem. After what you saw from the Eagles in this game, I'm a little surprised you're going that way. That team looked like a well-oiled offensive machine, and that defense is scary as always. What did you see in this game that either lost it for the Commanders or won it for the Eagles?
Well, what lost it for the Commanders is that they're a young team. That's the no experience. That's the most experience they had was Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner. Those were the only two guys that you had experience on that team. The rest were coming into their first real NFC Championship game, and that's the reason why they got shut down completely. Whereas a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, the only guy that hasn't been there is one of the hungriest running backs that we've ever seen in NFL history. And for that reason, that you knew the Eagles were going to win this game. As much as you wanted Washington to win, you knew that the Eagles were probably going to win this game because they've been here before. They know what they're doing. Now, when it comes to throwing and how Jalen Hurts was playing, I mean, he played a lot better in this NFC Championship game than we've seen in the last 8 weeks out of Jalen Hurts. So it looks like he was saving it, to be honest with you. My thing is did they use Saquon Barkley a little bit too much because now the Kansas City Chiefs are running that film on pretty much just Saquon Barkley. They're going to shut him down. And when you shut down Saquon Barkley, how much can this Philadelphia Eagles team really do? I mean, they have A.J. Brown, they have Devontae Smith. We've seen that, but we've seen it last 2 years ago when that was really all they had on the offensive side, and they couldn't get it done against this Kansas City team. And I'm pretty sure that was a team that couldn't catch a ball. So for a team that couldn't catch a ball to still beat a high offense like that, now the Kansas City Chiefs are a lot better than what they were. And the Kansas City Chiefs are going against a Philadelphia Eagles team that has a running back that is very hungry. it's a what if scenario here. You could go either way. It could be a coin flip. I'm picking Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce for the simple reason as, hey, they've got it done before. They're gonna get it done again. And for that reason, I don't think it's Saquon's year to win to win a Super Bowl this year. I really don't. I think that what's going to happen is we're going to see him lose, and then they're going to come back next year, and they're going to go on a tear against teams. And like we said, with that window closing for teams like the Buffalo Bills and the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens and a lot of teams' windows are closing. The Eagles are just opening. So we could see the Eagles in a Super Bowl next year as well.
I'm going to completely and utterly disagree with you on this one, brother. Reason being is since the game where Saquon went up against the Giants and put up over 200 yards rushing, every single team in the NFL has been watching film and game planning for Saquon Barkley, and the dude still puts up 100 yards rushing and 2 TDs pretty much every single game, like Derrick Henry status. Okay, we look at it for this team. Let's look at Saquon and what he's done this year as well, and this is part of the reason why I think Philly's going to get it done. I'm picking Philly to win against Kansas City. One, the unselfishness of this Philadelphia Eagles team. Saquon gave up a record for his team. Saquon gave twice. He gave up a single game rushing yard record, so he did get injured and some young guys could get time. And then he gave up the all-time rushing record in a season because he wanted to be ready for the playoffs. I think the football gods are going to pay him off with a Super Bowl for this year just based on those sacrifices alone. Now I'm going to look at the team. Okay, this Eagles team is beyond better than they were in the previous time they went to the Super Bowl. Beyond better. Beyond. Okay, you got the likes of Jalen Hurts, 3 rushing touchdowns in that game, along with Saquon, 6 total touchdowns between your running back and quarterback in a game. If they play to the level that they played against Washington, there's no doubt they're winning the Super Bowl. I don't think they duplicated 2 weeks in a row to that level, 8 total touchdowns in the game. I don't think it's going to happen for them.
No way.
Now, looking at it, though, if you're a team like Kansas City and you say, okay, we're going to completely take away Saquon, we're going to sell out for it, and we're going to let Jalen Hurts' legs and arm beat us, you have a better chance with that, 110%. I'm not here to disagree with that. If you take Saquon out of the equation and want Jalen and his arm and Devontae and Brown to win the game against you, against an experienced Kansas City secondary who gets better through the playoffs and in big games, definitely can see where you say, I'm taking Kansas City in that matchup. Here's the thing that I'm saying. I just don't think there's a way that you can contain Saquon. I don't think anybody's done it all year long, and I don't think anyone is going to be able to do it. The only thing that can stop Saquon is Saquon and the weather. That's the only thing that can stop Saquon. I expect him to score a touchdown. I expect Jalen Hurts to be there. I expect him to get a tush push. That's the other thing with this Eagles team. They invented the tush push, whereas Josh Allen went for that tush push on 4th down and couldn't get it, and Kansas City somehow stopped it. This Eagles team, every time they are 1st and 10, it's realistically 1st and 8 because they get within 2 yards of that thing. Ain't nobody stopping it. They got Saquon Barkley with calves the size of my torso, and then Dallas Goedert pushing Jalen Hurts, who's yoked as it is and ready to go, forward. Chris Jones can only do so much for that Kansas City D. So I just think the advantage is Philly, right? I know what's on the other side. I've picked them the past 2 years. I know exactly what's there. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, championship defense, championship offense, insane IQ, insane coaching ability. Do I think they have the edge in coach? Yes. Do I think they have the edge in quarterback? Yes. Do I think they have the edge in running back? No. Do I think it's equal on the receiving course? I do think it's equal on the receiving course. When it comes down to defense, Philly's defense is way better than the Chiefs' defense. Way better than the Chiefs' defense. You look at it, the Eagles have been the #1 defense all year. Chiefs, obviously 15-1, they did something right, but still, I'm taking Eagles defense over Kansas City defense. it's going to be a tight game. But I
Yes.
realistically don't see a way that anybody can stop Saquon from falling forward for 6 yards on a first down rush. It hasn't happened all year. And if they get 6 on the first down, they're getting a first down 9 times out of 10 from there, and they're putting points up on the board, and they're chewing clock. Exactly what you need to do against a Kansas City team. Keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, put up points, and don't make mistakes. Those are 3 things that the Eagles do very well. That's why I'm taking Philly.
I mean, hey, I'm not mad with the decision of taking Philly. I think that when it comes down to it, the two people that want to see one of these teams win a Super Bowl is Kansas City or Philadelphia. I don't
Yeah.
think anybody else in the United States wants to see either of these teams win a Super Bowl, which is fine. It is what it is. The last time that we had a Super Bowl that everybody wanted to watch, the ratings were down on the NFL. So that's the reason why we haven't seen it since Cincinnati and the LA Rams, where I picked the LA Rams, if you remember way back when. But it when it comes down to it, I just don't think that this team can be stopped. We talk about how Philadelphia has been unstoppable all year, and we talk about how Saquon has been unstoppable all year. If there's going to be a team to shut this team down, it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be Kansas City. Their defense has won them games time and time again this season. And I feel like the reason why that we've seen that is because they've been preparing for teams in the NFC like the Detroit Lions, like the Philadelphia Eagles that have these high power offenses. I think that they're a lot more ready than what we think. And that's the reason why that we've seen the Kansas City Chiefs go whatever their record was. I'm pretty sure it was, what was it? They only lost 16. They lost one game, right?
Yeah. 16 and
Yeah.
1. I was trying to do
Yeah.
6, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah, so that's the reason why we saw this Kansas City Chiefs team go 16 and 1. I don't think that they're preparing for these AFC teams. I think they know that they can beat these
Sorry.
AFC.
They went 15 and 2, dude. They got blown out last week by the Denver
Oh,
Broncos, 38
yeah, when
zip.
they put their third
Yeah.
strings in. It would have been
Yeah.
16 and 1. My
Yeah.
fault.
Yeah. Yep.
But with this Kansas City team, I don't think that they've been preparing for AFC championship game or AFC teams this season. I think they've been looking at film all season on the NFC teams and being like, "Hey, if we can stop these guys, we can stop these guys." And that's the thing that I'm looking at for Kansas City. They're always a step ahead of the game. And it seems like when you finally caught them, they still get away. So for that reason, I'm not going to go against it. I'm going with Kansas City.
Hey, we have a Super Bowl episode coming up in the coming weeks. We got media days coming up with the Super Bowl. Everything Super Bowl is going to be talked. So we're going to save the discussion for all that and back and forth for then. That was the AFC and NFC championship games. We want to look forward to next year here and pick our most exciting team for next year. But first, vamos a la playa with some La Viva. Let's watch a commercial from our sponsor, Aviva.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop, and I'm burning higher.
Welcome back for the last segment on the Extra Point. We only got a couple more weeks left of the Extra Point this year. Sad to say, this football season has come and gone, and we're already looking to next year and seeing what we can talk about. We got head coaches moving. We got players moving. We got drafts coming. We have potential draft spots. We have maybe potential mock draft trades that might be beneficial for people. We don't know what's going to go down between February and September of this year, pre-football season. But we love to make predictions way too early and then say we told you so when it all works out come September, October. That's what we're best at here at Live Zone Sports, of course, on the East Coast Sports Investors Network and team. So Live Zone, without any further ado, I want to know, what team are you most excited to watch next year and why?
I'm gonna take my home team here. I really am. I think that the biggest team to watch out for this offseason is the New England Patriots. I really do. Looking at it, we have one, Mike Vrabel got hired as their head coach. That was one hell of an upgrade at the head coaching system. Two, I have Josh McDaniels is coming back and running this offense with Drake May. That's going to be one hell of an offense as long as they can get that offensive line going. Number three, T. Higgins is in really a lot of talks coming to New England Patriots as their number one wide receiver. Don't forget, you now have, what was it, the fourth pick? Fourth pick for New England in the draft. You now have a top 4 pick in the NFL draft that could be another wide receiver. So now you don't have just one franchise receiver. You now have 2 franchise receivers, as well as Hunter Henry, as well as Stevenson. And if you don't look that way, you also have one hell of a running back that is laying there right now, and it could be that he moves up in the draft and the Patriots take him. There's a lot of things that's going right with the New England Patriots. I have also heard trade rumors around Cooper Kupp. I have also heard trade rumors around Tyreek Hill. Even though those two look a little bit unrealistic, they could still happen. And then we know that this defense is going to get built up this offseason. It's going to happen. You're going to see Mike Vrabel build this offense and defense the way that a New England team should be. I'm really excited to see what New England can do. I'm really excited to see how much they improve from this year to next year. And honestly, you could end up seeing the New England Patriots with that 7th seed in the playoffs next year.
Hey, I don't hate the pick at all. I love the pick in New England, for sure. I definitely love it. I'm gonna actually go with my same pick that I was excited for last year, that I'm gonna be excited for this next coming year, and that's gonna be the Chicago Bears. I want to see what year 2 brings for this quarterback, new head coach. They need an entire culture shift over there. I think they're going to get it this off season. I think they're going to bring in some key people. I don't know necessarily who. There's some names on the table. There's names out there, and there's moves to be dealt. There's a draft coming up. There's picks to be made, swaps to be made. You got a great wide receiver out there in DJ Moore. You have a plethora of options. You might be able to deal him for something you need in the future on another side of things. So, I mean, that's who I'm looking out for next year. You still have Caleb Williams coming in 2nd year. Didn't prove anything crazy to anybody this year. Did still put up solid numbers. He threw under 8 interceptions and threw over 20 touchdown passes. I think only 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the league did that this year. And they finished with a losing record on top of it and bottom of the barrel of their division. There's only up from here for Chicago. You have Keenan Allen. You have Romeo Dunze on the wide receiver. Like, you have the people there. You have a solid enough defense that kept you in games against a high-powered Green Bay Packers offense. You beat them one of the games and should have even beaten them twice that year. You were in games with good teams, and then you lost games that you should have won, and you lost to bad teams. That's coaching. That's not preparation for your team to be ready to play on Sunday, Monday, Thursday, whenever you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that comes down to the players. And I think they got rid of the staff at least. I don't know if the ownership needs to be replaced as well for them to move forward. That might be something happening this year as well in the offseason. I'm excited to watch out for the Chicago Bears and what they're doing in the future. Those fans deserve something. I mean, I don't know a Chicago Bears fan that smiled since Brian Urlacher. Like, it's embarrassing. You know what I'm saying? Embarrassing. It's in the name for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that division. I think Minnesota is going to come back to earth next year. I just don't know if they can even have a shot competing at the top of their division with the likes of Green Bay and Detroit being there. But realistically, I had Chicago as a playoff team this year, and it didn't happen. So I'm going to put them right back in and put them in the playoffs for next year as well. So that being said, we lost Live Zone for a minute. He's popping back in on screen. There he is. He's back, ready to go. Back, better than ever. Just finished up my point that the Bears were embarrassing this year and that they need to up the ante next year, and I think they're going to do that. They're my team to watch out for. But as we always do, we're watching every single team. We're excited for every single team. We're excited for every play, every snap, every player, every coach, every decision, everything.
Yep.
All right? That's what you get here at the Extra Point. So, like we said, we got Super Bowl episodes coming up. We love our Super Bowl episodes. You know we go all out for those episodes. We bring the heat, and we might even bring the chips and dip this time. We might even bring a brewski. Maybe Viva will send us a package or something, maybe a care package. Atlanta Steaks and Seafood. We got to grab some steaks, throw them on the grill, maybe not inside. You know what I'm doing. All right. Live Zone. You got anything you want to say to the people?
Yeah, I mean, just be ready for what's to come. I know Friday we will be looking at a new show. If you're a WWE/wrestling fan, be on the lookout for that because that is happening. But other than that, yeah, I mean, just make sure you're looking out for Dynamics on the Hardwood, the Extra Point, the new show that's coming out on Friday. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
We also have a baseball show coming up here once football ends soon as well. We have the Closing Bell Breakfast Bankroll on the ECSI network. They're all there. You could go way back. We've been doing this for a long time. We're happy you're here. Keep steadily clicking that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. Help us get there. Anyone that you share it with, like it or post it on, we much appreciate it. We're just looking to get more immersed here. So if any of you have partnerships, sponsorships, anything that you want to bring in or talk about, or if you want to even hop on in the show, message us, reach out to us, let us know. We'd love to chop it up, see what we can do, see how we can make this thing even better in the future. Shout out Viva, Atlanta Steaks and Seafood, Wager Wire. We love you, Wager Wire. We had the big guy hit the Ohio State game. He won that big $400,000 pot. Sports Revolt, we rock with you. Hoping to grab some press passes from you, Eric. All right, let's go. Come on, let us know. We're trying to get in there. But that's the Extra Point for this week. We'll be back soon next week with the Super Bowl episode. We might even give you two. As always, the only way you're going to know is if you stay tuned.